everyone, welcome to RT Infrastructure Micro Lessons, where we cover short practical lessons on network automation, and AWS. So, in today's micro lesson, we're going to learn about creating a trunk port. So, we created a VLAN. We created actually two, a voice VLAN, a data VLAN, and now we are trying to create a trunk. Now, let's say we have two switches, and both switches has devices in VLAN 500. That was one of the VLANs that we created. For those devices to communicate across the switch, VLAN 500 needs to be carried over the connection between them. Now, we could possibly just have a connection between them, have both ports and VLAN 500, and then that's how they'll be able to communicate with each other. But imagine trying to do that over a span of like 600 VLANs, that's a lot of switches you're going to need to make that work. So to kind of help that, we have trunk ports, and we can configure the connection as a trunk port, and a trunk port allows traffic from multiple VLANs to travel across a single physical connection while keeping each VLAN logically separated. So that's what we're going to do here. And we're going to just go ahead and create a trunk port. Now, we have a switch, and as you guys can see, this is a little bit different than what we used before. And let's go ahead and do our show command. So show VLAN. Um, so you're going to see that we have our 500, 501, and then obviously you can see that we have a bunch of ports here, more than the previously, and they're all gigabit Ethernet ports. And then we even have some 10 gigabit Ethernet ports here. So for trunks, we typically want to have 10 gigabit Ethernet. Of course, you can use 1 gigabit Ethernet ports, but that's a lot of data going to go over, especially if you have a lot of VLAN. So I say always just make them a 10 gigabit Ethernet port instead. So all right, let's get to it. Now we're going to go ahead and configure. So let's go in our configure terminal, and we're going to go into the port TE1/1/1, and we're going to go ahead and start our first command, which is switch port mode trunk. This turns the trunk, or I guess this turns the port into a trunk. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and do switch port trunk. Now we're in trunk mode now. So trunk allowed. Now this is where we're going to allow the VLAN. So we're going to allow VLAN 500, 501, and we're going to click OK to that. Put an extra 0 on there. So these are the VLAN we're saying, hey, only allow these two VLANs over this trunk. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure we have our most important, which is our switch port trunk native VLAN 100. So this command in particular is pretty much telling us that if traffic is going over this connection and it's not tagged with a VLAN, like VLAN 500, VLAN 501, send it over VLAN 100. And that's an important command that you're going to want to make sure you put in there, because you're going to need that. If you don't, it's not going to work well. So make sure you have that in there. And that is the commands for adding a trunk. Now, a few things, you will have to do this on both sides. They have to match. And with trunk ports, typically you're going to be creating them between switches, between routers, even between servers. If you have like a virtual environment going on, and those VMs are in different VLANs, you're going to even have to make them for servers as well. So you want to make sure that you have those set up. They're going to be really useful and help you out in the future. And another thing is, a big thing is when you're actually adding. So say I have this all set up on TE111. Actually, I do have it set up on TE11, and I want to add another port or another VLAN. This other VLAN, maybe it's VLAN, 502. Well, there's actually a different command you have to use, and it's going to be switch port. It's going to be similar to switch port trunk allow VLAN, but you have to make sure you have add in there. If you don't have add in there and you only put VLAN 502, it will actually replace all two of these VLANs. So if I put this in here like as is, the switch will rewrite the command that I just did and say, okay, we're only allowing 502. That means you lose everything else that you already added, and you're only going to have 502. So you want to make sure you have that add 502, and then you click enter. If you want to remove it, you'll go to remove 502. So that's really important. You don't want to have to like wipe out all your VLANs and only have one VLAN in there, because that can be a bad day, especially in a corporate environment. So make sure you have add when you want to add a VLAN, and then when you want to remove a VLAN, make sure you have remove. All right, so that's it for this one. I'll see you guys on the next one.